12 पब्लिशर्स ने जेके राउलिंग की हैरी पॉटर को रिजेक्ट कर दिया था.
Yes.
I guess the story started when I got the manuscript one rainy night in Soho, and I didn't know, of course, it had been turned down by 22 or something other publishers, and I took it home and read it that night.
And she was not an established author. इसकी ये हैरी पॉटर शायद पहली बुक थी.
Yes.
And Bloomsbury decided to publish it.
Yes.
And the rest is history.
Our sales for the first 48 hours were 1.8 million. This was record-breaking. We have never seen anything like it. It was amazing.
Bloomsbury was very new at that time. He said, all right, give me a sample chapter, I'll think about it. And so he took it home and his daughter read it.
Okay.
And she read the sample chapter and she kept on pestering him, what happens next.
Wow.
And that probably clicked.
आप लाइसेंस लेके फॉरेन से एक बुक लेके आते हो, आप इंडिया में 3 से 4 हज़ार रुपए की बेच रहे हो. अगले दिन आपको पता चलता है कि वो सेम बुक कॉपी हो गई है और उसकी पायरेटेड कॉपी इंडिया में 500 रुपए की सिग्नल पे बिक रही है. ये पायरेसी कैसे होता है और क्या इम्पैक्ट है इसका?
It has its very huge impact. I mean, I think in 2018, Federation of Indian Publishers Association has done a study. And by their rough estimate at that time, they said it was eating 30% of the book market, book trade back then. So imagine if the book market that time was say 35,000 crore. So it was reading 10,000 crore was eaten by the piracy.
जो prominent properties होते हैं, prominent book stores होते हैं, जैसे एयरपोर्ट पे WH स्मिथ हो गया या क्रॉसवर्ड के वो टॉप 30 सेक्शन हो गए, ये कितना इम्पैक्ट करती है बुक के सेल्स को?
It does impact a lot because it's a visualization. Like you go to a store and you say for example you want to buy a shirt. You would want to see, okay यार Arrow बहुत सब जगह दिख रहा है Arrow, तो maybe it's a good brand.
आप एक बुक को लॉन्च करते हो, सिग्नल पे आपको वही बुक अगले दिन दिखती है, तो क्या लगता है माइंड में?
A very famous book, Ikigai. You probably saw it on every damn signal. And I mean, imagine the author is a Japanese, was written it, this, that, and so much time and effort has gone into it, and it's available. Psychology of Money, you will see it on every signal. Yeah. But the book is well written. If you read about it, it gives you, blows your mind.
Even Ankur Wariko's, I mean, your books are everywhere.
Everywhere.
ये जो books जाती हैं top 30 के section में या फिर prominently displayed होती है, ये वहाँ पे बिकने जाती है या फिर अच्छी बिक रही होती है इसीलिए जाती है? आप मुझे पहले बताओ कि ब्लूम्सबेरी इंडिया की क्या बैक स्टोरी है?
Okay, so Bloomsbury, as you know, is a UK-based multinational publisher. They are better known for their product like Harry Potter and other things, among other things. They were established in 1987 in UK. But in India, they were like selling their books through Penguin till 2012. Yeah. So then in 2012, we got an opportunity to make a case to them that, they should be here because India was changing and a lot of things were happening back then. And initially, they were in two minds to either to acquire somebody and assimilate with them and this and that. And so our managing director actually proposed to them that, you are such a prestigious publishing house, you should have your own office in India. You should, and apart from selling your own books, you should actually start publishing Indian books also.
Okay.
Because publishing, is a very, very big
so
area.
Earlier you were getting books from outside?
Yeah.
Okay. Achha.
So initially what we were trying to do is we were trying to establish our own brand name, bringing our own books and publishing, selling them in Indian market through various channels.
क्या difference होता है दोनों में ऐसा करने में?
Difference ये है कि एक मतलब basically वो foreign content है that is written by foreign authors like say J.K. Rowling or other authors, Khalid Hosseini or any other, Madeline Miller or any foreign author. They have written the content which people consume and sell it. But when you talk about Indian publishing, you are actually going to acquire a author in India. You develop them. You either the books can be it can be their own idea, which they have conceived, they have written, and they want to tell the story in their own way. Or you can have your publisher and editor sitting with them, giving them ideas as to what they should be writing about. And then, so it's called like, there are two kinds of things. One is like, say, for example, you are a budding author. Okay. You want to write your own thoughts about, say, podcast in India or anything, for that matter. And you come up with your idea, you write a script and this and that, and then you go to the publisher and say, I want to publish that. So the publisher can either say that, okay, I want to change this, and you should be writing this way. Or the second way is the publisher comes to you if you are a well-known person and you are a well-known personality and say, okay, you know what, I think you are very well-known, say a doctor who's a master in his area. He will come to the doctor and say, okay, we want you to write a book on so and so.
Interesting.
Then the commissioning editor will get in touch with the doctor, give them cues, and, because everybody is a master in their profession. Like, you are very good at what you do. I am probably very good at finance, but I may not be very good at writing, or writing in a 200, 300 pages concrete idea. So the professionals like commissioning editors, publishers who have done business, they are in this business for so long, they have done so much. So
you started in 2012.
12, yes.
In India. And you were the person who were in the founding team.
Yeah, we were in the founding team.
So what was your role initially?
Initially, it was like doing everything. You looking for the offices, setting up the company.
Oh, wow.
And then hiring people, working very closely with the managing director here, because I mean, to be very honest, I was very new to publishing. I had no idea how publishing works. But I was very good at finance, and my previous roles, I was good at startup companies where either they were starting a new business or they were starting a new division or whatever. So that actually knowledge helped me.
Yeah, it always helps.
It always helps.
Okay, so let's get into the side of Bloomsbury a bit more.
Yeah, sure.
12 publishers ने
J.K.
Rowling की हैरी पॉटर को रिजेक्ट कर दिया था.
Yes.
And she was not an established author. इसकी ये हैरी पॉटर शायद पहली बुक थी.
Yes.
And Bloomsbury decided to publish it.
Yes.
And the rest is history.
Yes.
तो ये जो ऑथर को पिक करने का कोई डिसीजन होता है, does Bloomsbury has a very unique framework that they follow?
See, every publisher has established the way, as I was explaining to you, that they have either an editor or a team of editors who are subject experts. Like, say, some are good at examining fiction, some are good at examining non-fiction, general trade. So every publisher has that, and that's how the publishing works. The budding author approaches them, or they approach the authors, and they so if you're specifically talking about the Harry Potter story, the story is widely published. You could look for it. It is there. In 1987, when Bloomsbury was established, and I think a couple of years later, our chairman at that time, Mr. Nigel Newton, he's the founder of Bloomsbury. Miss Rowling approached, J.K. Rowling approached him for the publishing, and then again, because so many publishers have rejected it, and Bloomsbury was very new at that time.
I've heard that उनकी daughter को बहुत पसंद आया.
I was getting to that only. So then he got this. He said, "All right, give me a sample chapter. I'll think about it." And so he took it home, and his daughter read it. Actually, I mean, he says in both ways. He has given it to his daughter. He's just 8 years old, and she read the sample chapter, and she kept on pestering him. What happens next? What happens next?
Wow.
And that probably clicked on his how an 8-year-old child has so much inquisitivity. And fantasy fiction at that time was like not so much well known about it, and people had different views about it. And in that story had everything going for it. You talk about language, you talk about and especially the kids. I think the kids angle is the magic. I mean, I'm sure you probably read it, or you read about it, or you saw the movie and all that. So the magic part and the way the story is told, it kind of stick, and rest is history. That was the first book, Philosopher's Stone, and then there was 6 more books in that series.
I think that changed everything for
That changed
Bloomsbury.
everything. That changed
तो
everything.
कोई अगर एक मॉडल, if we see today's conversation will be all about somebody who's trying to, in 2024, somebody wants to establish a publishing business. So and he's watching us. तो उसके लिए चीज़ें बहुत आसान हो जानी चाहिए. So we'll try and break down the model, the industry into minute details, and I will behave like I have actually no idea about the publishing industry, which might be true, by the way.
No.
But I'll ask you questions in that way so that you
Sure.
can help make models
Yeah.
for our listeners to understand and take an actionable prescription for them to execute directly. तो ये कोई एक framework होता है if there's somebody who's trying to understand what is the concept, what's the mindset, or is there a model that you कि ये चीज़ें fit होनी चाहिए before you sign up an author?
So, as I was saying, publishing is a very broad term. Like, in India, if you talk about it, the general market. So, anybody who's trying to go into publishing will look at it, how big is the market?
Okay.
India is like the second largest English-speaking market in the world after United States.
Okay.
And India's total Indian market, which was, surveyed by Nielsen and Federation of Indian Publishers about in 2020, I think, they have pegged it at about 50,000 crore. But that is, again, total educational, reference books, children's books, trade publishing, this, that. So rough estimate is about 25 to 30% of that is trade publishing. When I say trade publishing, I am talking about your adult books, like you read your fiction, non-fiction, and children's books. So that is the area where we, Bloomsbury has expertise. Of course, Bloomsbury has expertise in academics as well. But the core area is trade publishing is what we are trying to get into.
And how many titles are you publishing each year?
So each year it differs publisher to publisher. If I talk about specifically about Bloomsbury, we are publishing on an average about 75 to 100 titles a year.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot, yeah.
Okay.
But then again, it is a lot, you can say a lot for a small publishing house which just started in 2012, but for established publishing houses like Penguin Random House, HarperCollins, or other major publishers, they publish almost 250 to 300 titles also, because they are bigger publishers, they have a larger teams. Penguin has been here for ages here. I mean, they have a very big Indian list.
They're
as well.
huge.
They are huge, yes. So.
And I think they're also collaborating, and there are mergers and acquisition.
Yeah.
Was it Penguin Random House?
Yeah, the full name now is Penguin Random House. Previously there were two companies, Penguin and Random House. They both merged. I think it was 2017 or 18, something like that. I don't remember the exact year, but that's when they...
So the first thing that you've said is look at the market size.
Look at the market size.
And the second is the category selection.
Second is category selection. Here, if somebody is trying to get into the market, he has to be very, very careful, because the market is so big and it's so widespread. Somebody entering new cannot publish anything and everything. They need to start with a niche publishing. Say, for example, you have expertise in say self-help. Just for argument's sake, because that is like the most easy to get in genre, where people are getting easy successes, early successes, and things like that. So you pick up a niche market, you pick up a niche subject, or somebody is good at children's books, they can get into, because again, children's books is a very big market in India. Almost 25 to 30% of the market, trade publishing market, is of children's books. And children's books is again a very fast growing market, because now with the advent of English speaking schools, with the advent of your internet and exposure to English and importance of English being drawn down to everybody, it's becoming more and more popular. Everybody wants their kids to start reading at an early ages. So you see all kind of like mythologies, or even character books, or even graphic novels, or kids are exposed to like completely so many different kind of books. So once you selected which area you want to focus on, what is your core strength, then you start researching about it. And then you need to, in the beginning, one need to look at like a major author either an established author or a good name which is known in the industry or in their particular sector. So these days what is happening is, with the advent of social media, influencer, this, that, there are a lot of things like your Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We don't have TikTok in India, but overseas TikTok is even bigger. So then if the person who you are signing up or you are trying to establish with the if they have a good social media presence, that helps a lot.
So how do you when you say that the third step is for them to research on authors? So what's the parameter that one should look for? Are you looking for somebody who's already interested in writing, or are you only looking for somebody who's an expert and has good fan following, for say?
It can work both ways. One is established writers also work. Like, say for example, in our case, when we established, we signed up with Mr. Shiv Khera, who is a very famous
obviously
self-help book writer. So we signed up with that, and that gave us a boost, and we started developing more authors like him. And then of course that attracted other authors. Okay, Mr. Khera is publishing here, maybe I have a future. So you can go about that, or if you want to start from on your own, if you know that then in that case you have to be an expert editor or subject knowledge, or so then you know which author to commission, what subject to commission. Because again, if you are writing fiction is a different story. Fiction is somebody's imagination, how the story goes. It's like movie. Somebody has written a movie and somebody has produced a movie on a different subject. It may have a different kind of audience. Some like it, some may not like it. But as far as non-fiction general books goes, again, that's you research the market trend. What are people reading? Which books? Because nowadays so much data is available. Data is being quite democratized. Like you have your Nielsen list coming out every week. These are the top 10, top 100. Then you have your newspapers publishing list, which are books. And then you have, these days, you also have reviews where people are reviewing, critics are reviewing your books and writing about them. Then you have influencers. So once you've done your market research, you have established that, okay, fine, I want to start, say, for example, in children's publishing. That's an easier to get market, this, that. Then basically you take on a project, which one you want to go with, and then you start developing. But it's a cardinal rule in publishing that content has to be top of the line. Otherwise, you're not going to do anything. I mean, if I go to a bookstore with my daughter or kids, and if I look at something, I should be look at it in first instance. I should be able to look at it and say, okay, fine, this is good for my daughter's reading, and I can buy that.
And what's the general word size that you're going after? For example, what I've understood is something around 70,000 to 80,000 words is great, and the ideal size for a novel that goes into publishing. What's your take on this?
It depends on depends on the subject. In the for example, Harry Potter books, you would see the first 2-3 books were quite small, then the bigger one came, and this and that. So it depends on what you are trying to write. If it's a self-help book, first time writer, maybe what you are saying is probably the ideal size. But then again, it's very subjective. You cannot define that this is what it is.
But attention span, if you look at that, it has gone down. And 2-3 ghante ki movies the people get bored, right? If it's not something like Bahubali, or say, for example, something that deep, and something like Pushpa 2 and that sort of, or else if you have established chain of series 1 and 2, and then you're so. Books mein, if somebody is writing a, say, 200,000 words novel, would you publish that?
To be very honest,
what are the chances of getting rejection?
It could be a thing, but then that is what I'm saying. It's very, very subjective to say that they will outright. And we have authors who have written the first novel is quite big and bigger in size.
How many pages? 700?
Probably 500 pages, 600 pages also. There are novels which are 600, 500 pages, and they did well, even in the first one. So again, my point is, if the content has the theme in it and it has a readable value of it, it can work. But yeah, you are right. In the beginning, they will want to start with the smaller ones, or what sticks with the people.
How many pages, for example, a range?
So 300 pages, 200 pages, 300 pages is generally the smaller one, non-fiction, self-help, or medical, or any other books which are health related or business advice. Those are the
अगर
smaller
मैं एक
books.
नया publisher हूँ, I have to look for an author who's expert, probably has a fan following,
Yes.
and has a book length of say about 300 to 500 pages,
Yeah.
not more than that,
Not more
to start with.
Yeah, to start.
Okay. Let's get into the industry as a whole as well.
Yeah.
Do you think the industry is growing in India, or what's the condition right now?
Industry is growing. Like if I talk about the historic one, up to say there are credible data available till 2019 on a year-on-year basis. The industry was growing.
I think 2005 के बाद there were a lot of publishers popping up. Books बहुत mass market आ गया.
mass
उसके पहले धीरे-धीरे grow कर रहा था. क्या अभी क्या status है?
अभी status ये है कि on an average the growth in general, the industry growth is roughly between 8 to 10%.
Okay.
But then again, the segments, the growth is different. Like say children's market.
And you're talking about India, right?
Yeah, India.
Okay.
So children's market is growing at almost 12 to 15%.
And it was earlier lesser, or?
In fact, earlier lesser. Now it's growing even better. And is actually the, you can say COVID is sort of a boon for the industry. Because post-COVID, people started reading more. People like this one lockdown actually impacted the industry badly because we were not ready, and deliveries were not available, and like say you couldn't order it, Amazon would not come, books were not in essential category. So that kind of put this stop to it. But then the moment the lockdown was lifted and the books were allowed, Amazon was started delivering, the market overnight changed. People started having books. I mean, we were as ourselves were astonished the kind of response we got.
This is where ebooks kind of rocketed in.
Ebooks, I would say in India still 90 to 95% of readers still prefer the physical book. Ebooks are more popular among young generation a little bit, or for major reference books or educational books, things like that. But ebooks in general, like pleasure reading, people still prefer that way because there are multiple things. You are either reading on your mobile device or on your tab, and then you are reading, something pops up, it takes your span instant away. If you are a core reader, I mean, I would have my book and take my copy and start reading. So it's again
2019 mein I think it's the worst investment of my life. I bought a iPad Pro and I downloaded Kindle and I started reading and I said, wow यार ये मज़ा आ रहा है. लेकिन मुझे लगता है जिन लोगों ने प्रेडिक्ट किया था ना कि डिजिटल बुक जैसे ही आए थे, जिन लोगों ने प्रेडिक्ट किया था कि ये तो हार्ड कॉपी ये खत्म हो गया, आई थिंक दे वर कंप्लीटली
wrong. In fact, even in the Western world, in the beginning, as you said, it was like a fancy. It's like, your iPhone new model comes, you have a fancy. For 15 days, you try to do this, that, and then it becomes a routine thing. Yaar, call karna hai, message karna hai. That's about it.
A lot of distractions.
So, and, it gives you, like Kindle marketed, you can carry 100,000 books with you, or you can take the whole library with you. But if you think about it, at the end of the day, that's the one book or two books you're going to read.
Correct.
Say you're going on vacation or you're going on a long trip, you're going to read one book or two books. So that's...
Amazon.com ने जब बुक्स बेचना शुरू किया 2000 इंडिया में आप 12 में आए, तो जब Amazon भी आई थिंक उस टाइम इंडिया में नया था, तो Amazon के बाद क्या बदला?
Actually, Amazon se pehle, if you read about this history, Flipkart was the company which established as a book distribution company. Okay. Their main, the brothers who started the Flipkart in India, they actually got the idea of distributing books, and they were actually selling books in the beginning.
In India, right?
In India.
Yeah,
and then the Amazon copied that model, and that's how it. Amazon के बाद I think it made it easier, accessible. It's like you don't have to go to the bookstore, you don't have to, and then people also started thinking कि यार मैं घर बैठ के.
As a publisher क्या difference है?
As a publisher, it made our life much easier. Like we can pre-order, we can put pre-order books for pre-order, so it gives us a pulse of the market. Say for example, one of our author is writing a book. We have a cover reveal, we have this, that, we do social media promotion, this, that, and then to gauge the interest, like how the readers are reacting to it. We put it on a pre-order, we get X number of pre-order, that gives us so many people, and then you get the data behind it, who is trying, where it is popular, this, that. So as a publisher, it gives us a lot of information, and it actually made the life much more easier. Plus, you can market your book much better way. There are, AWS campaigns you can run. You can, send links in your own social media profiles, this, that.
So for a publisher, अगर उसने कोई contract sign किया है किसी author के साथ, तो marketing कौन देखता है?
So every publishing house has like 4 pillars are there in the publishing house. One is your back office functions like finance, admin, executive strategy, all that. Number 1, number 2, which is most important, is the editorial department, which basically analyzes the books, whether it's worth publishing, not publishing. And the third important is marketing.
Okay.
Because these days marketing is very, very important. You have to create a buzz about everything, anything and everything, from the idea generation to it's like there is this World Cancer Day. You want to talk about it. You want to pitch in your book that this book talks about it, or it's a World Health Day, or it's a Women's Day, or a Men's Day, or a Mother's Day, Father's Day. There is you keep running campaigns for each and everything catered to that, pitching in your books or your thoughts or in general. And this is, as we all know, is Insta generation. So Gen X, Gen Y, whoever you want to call, they are more geared up towards that.
Yeah. तो कितना टाइम पहले शुरू करते हैं marketing?
So generally it's like once the idea is conceived, once we know that it is in the final stages, because sometime it also depend on who is the author. There are high profile author, they have limited time, it takes time to write. Then again the process is, it goes for editing, it goes for fact check. If it's a general interest book, it has information, it goes for fact checking, it goes for a legal read. So there are multiple stages involved in each book, because as a publisher you want to establish your credibility as to what is written in the book is credible and it is backed by, I'll give you an example. We recently published a very big book by Mr. William Dalrymple, Golden Road. If you read the book,
what's the name?
The book name is The Golden Road.
Okay, Golden Road.
Half of the book is notes and the bibliography.
Okay.
So it's I think 600 or 700 page book. After 320 or 350 page, it's just the notes and bibliography.
Okay.
That will give you the confidence, you as a reader, that how much the author has put the time and effort into it, that where this came from. It's like your own Google for that book.
Okay.
So you don't have to, so that is the kind of I'm trying to get at, is the depending on the author who's writing the book, they need to be so much credible that you pick a book and you say, okay, this is, I can read this. As against, there are some authors on which you will have your preconceived notion, nahi yaar ye to nahi chalega, isme pata nahi kya likha hoga.
Okay. Let's talk about a different side of this business, which is probably dark. आप लाइसेंस लेके फॉरेन से एक बुक लेके आते हो, आप इंडिया में 3,000 से 4,000 रुपए की बेच रहे हो, अगले दिन आपको पता चलता है कि वो सेम बुक कॉपी हो गई है और उसकी पायरेटेड कॉपी इंडिया में 500 रुपए की सिग्नल पे बिक रही है. ये पायरेसी कैसे होता है और क्या इम्पैक्ट है इसका?
It has its very huge impact. I mean, I think in 2018, Federation of Indian Publishers Association has done a study. And by their rough estimate at that time, they said it was eating 30% of the book market, book trade back then. So imagine if the book market that time was say 35,000 crore. So it was reading 10,000 crore was eaten by the piracy.
That's huge.
Now, piracy is done in different ways. Like one is you are talking about, which just say reproduce the book in a cheaper quality paper and with no.
ये generally कौन लोग होते हैं?
ये generally it's like people with a want to make a quick buck.
Okay.
Because now the issue is the printing technology has changed over the years.
It's very easy,
so now, as you probably saw in your office, you were printing like 5 pages a minute or something like that back then. Now you press a button and 200 pages, boom, 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 it's just printed. So, and those printing solutions have come up in a area like this. You could probably fit 3 printers and put 4 people, and there are binding machines available. There are different things available, and you can put it together. So what they do is they will probably produce an X number of copies, try to see the market. If it is selling, they start selling it. So they will look at making a quick buck कि अच्छा 3000 की है, मैं 500 में बेच दूंगा, and my cost is 300. I will sell 20, 30, 40 a
तो
day.
ये कैसे रुकता है?
So then what happens is since then the industry started talking about it, and it is more to do apart from this, there is another piracy of educational books, where universities, you will see people started photocopying the whole book. Now imagine an author who has written a reference book on a science subject or a physics or a mathematics, and somebody just copy the whole thing. I mean, it's not right.
Very sad, yes.
And there were Publishers Association and APA, and they got involved, and they started taking action against these unscrupulous characters. There were raids, there were things. So last few years it has come down, but it is still happening, but not to that extent. Now people and readers are also liking it, the fact that I should buy the original work. And it's a matter of pride. Say, for example, you're buying a book which is 2,000-3,000 rupees. You would want to cherish it, and you want to leave it for your kids or for somebody.
लेकिन अगर मैं आपने कहा कि एकेडमिक में ये एजुकेशनल बुक में ज़्यादा है, तो अगर मैं 12th स्टैंडर्ड का कोई अगर स्टूडेंट हूँ या कॉलेज का स्टूडेंट हूँ, मैं तो सस्ती बुक खरीदूंगा.
वही है ना. See, that's what I'm trying to get at. So it's economics is the major challenge. That's where it matters. And imagine a publishing house setting up a publishing house, getting the book here, supplying to you, having the distribution channel in place. So they cannot sell it for that price. So if they are going to photocopy, they probably are going to photocopy. But then we have started taking legal actions. We started deteriorating. Lot of literacy campaigns were run against anti-piracy, that. And then people started doing PDF circulations, which is another major problem. So then we started doing the legal work. Then we started identifying the domains. The lawyers started sending notices to them. So we are trying to reduce it.
ये PDF की सप्लाई चेन को समझते हैं. ई बुक फॉर एग्जांपल जो पब्लिशर होता है, वो किसी देश में एक रीसेलर को देता है, और रीसेलर फिर उसको अमेज़ॉन पे लिस्ट करता है, एंड देन वी बाय. तो शायद कोई एक कोड सिस्टम होता है, उसके बारे में आप थोड़ा बताइए.
So what happens is when the book is published, the file is generated, a typeset file is generated. It's for a general person, layman, it's a PDF document which is given to the printer कि आप इसको इस specification के paper में print कर दो, and ये cover है, ये है, वो है, सब कुछ there in the electronic format. It goes to the printer. So nowadays it is lot secured. Like, when we give it to the printer, there is a, security protocol. The printer only can access it X number of time. We would know if the printer has accessed it more than that or something like that. So it does not get pirated from that port. What happens is these days, even the same technology is available, like your scanners. So you can put it through, and there is a scanner which can scan.
उसको कैसे रोकोगे?
उसका रोकने का एक तरीका है कि the only thing is when it pops up, you have legal teams, you send a notice to their domain, and then because there are cyber laws in each country. So even like Indian cyber laws are quite tough now. So people do probably make a buck in the beginning, but then when they get a notice, they have to take it down. If they don't, then we take them to court, which has also happened. So it has come down, but it still happens. But yeah, I think the percentage is coming down. And then in the beginning, Amazon and Flipkart and other online made it easy, where people don't even have to go to the signal. You can just list yourself as a seller, and then you started selling.
They were also new.
They were also new. So then what is happening is now in our, like say in most publishing houses, they have these people in the digital team which keep looking at the price discount offered. So you can identify easily that ye to possible hi nahi hai, nobody can give this kind of discount because it's not against the trade norms. So then you inform Amazon, they started taking action. Now Amazon, Flipkart have come up with technologies where they are doing brand registry. It's like any other product, say piracy is rampant in all kind of products, not just books. It's rampant in your branded goods, it's rampant in your high value items, fabric, it's rampant. So they started taking action against these unscrupulous characters. And then after GST came, it made it easy. Now they can recognize by a GST number, PAN number, they debar it. And they also, when you list yourself as a seller, they do a lot of fact checking. They go back, they check, and there are companies available who does for them. So it is making a difference, but yeah, it is available.
GST का क्या impact हुआ?
GST का impact ये है कि आप जैसे for example you want to list yourself as a seller, so you have to give your GST number. They will do a AI driven checking whether that GST number is valid, whether that GST number, the address you have given is correct or not.
Okay.
So it's like you apply for a loan, somebody comes to your house to verify whether you live there. It's the same thing. There are companies who are doing a background check on the sellers. So Amazon is making it, and if there are multiple complaints, they will block that. So then the person cannot register it. See, what happens is, like, say, people are, if you are going to deceive or you're going to take something against law, people are kind of smart in a way. So they will just, okay, एक को हटा दिया, दूसरे दिन दूसरे नाम से register कर लिया, तीसरा register कर लिया. But then they have to, so they started coming down heavily on it. And then eventually people are realizing कि ये सब sustainable नहीं है, because now most of the things are connected. Like, if you give your Aadhaar number, you can pretty much see anything and everything.
तो जो piracy की impact पहले होती थी और जो अब है, क्या difference है? I'll just add something to it. For example, आप एक book को launch करते हो, signal पे आपको वही book अगले दिन दिखती है, तो क्या लगता है mind में?
See, you start taking action. It's like, if it's an isolated incident, 1 or 2 incident.
मतलब अभी भी वही लगता है कि यार ये क्या हो गया, या अभी लगता है कि नहीं ये बुक चल रही है?
It is, that's what I was about to get to it. So in a way, when you see it, okay, it's only isolated 1 or 2 places, 3 places. तो ठीक है यार, लोगों को interest है. People want to read it. Like, marketing हो जाती है. Like, say for example, a very famous book, Ikigai. You probably saw it on every damn signal. And I mean, imagine the author is a Japanese, who has written it, this, that, and so much time and effort has gone into it, and it's available. Psychology of Money, you will see it on every signal. But the book is well written. If you read about it, it blows your mind.
Even Ankur Wariko's, I mean, your books are everywhere.
Everywhere. So then, after a while, people started thinking, chalo, theek hai yaar. But yeah, the avenues are available these days. You can register an FIR, you can go to the court, you can take against it. But then the thing is, these are small fishes. Then you probably have to follow through the process and get to the end culprit who's doing it.
तो ये जो बेस्ट सेलिंग बुक्स बोलते हैं, क्या डेफिनेशन होती है एक बेस्ट सेलर की?
So there are different parameters, but in industry, in publishing industry, and especially in trade publishing, if any book has sold 10,000 copies in the first year of publishing, it's called a bestseller.
Okay. And has this number changed over the years?
It's like now even or for some books they are saying 5,000 is a good number. 10,000 is a number from very beginning, and then of course now it also has to do a lot with the reviews, with the kind of publicity you get, and people talk about your book. So like say in the world standard is a New York Times bestseller.
Okay.
When they used to publish in US, somebody published a review in New York Times and they say it's a best-selling book, then it's like some kind of. In India, it's also like HT does a lot of book review.
Okay.
The Mint does a lot of book reviews. Then Times of India does it. So, and then there are book selling chain stores like your Crosswords, Baris, this, that. They also, write based on their sales. They also publish this thing. So
थोड़ा सा ऑथर का एक फेज समझते हैं.
yeah.
वर्ल्ड की एक टॉप पब्लिशिंग कंपनी है. आई थिंक दे पब्लिश समवेयर अबाउट 50,000 टाइटल्स ईच ईयर. उसमें से जो आधी बुक है वो 12 कॉपीज भी नहीं बेच पाती हैं.
Yeah.
और आपने बोला कि 10,000 या 5,000 इज़ अ गुड नंबर. तो आधी की तो 50 में से 25 तो 12 कॉपियाँ भी नहीं बेच पाई. कुछ 2% जो अगर 5,000 या 10,000 बेच लेते हैं, दे गेट इनटू द टॉप 2%. सो दे बिकम अ बेस्ट सेलर. नाउ जो बाकी के बुक्स हैं और जो उनके ऑथर्स हैं, दे प्रॉब्ली गेट अबाउट 7.5% और समथिंग एज रॉयल्टी. तो ये तो कुछ पैसा ही नहीं है. तो वो पैसा कैसे बना रहे हैं?
So traditionally, see, for authors, it's book writing is never about making money, to be very honest. Unless until you are an established author, you have published it, you have so much fan following.
So अगर मैं एक नया ऑथर हूँ, I cannot be a full-time writer.
You cannot. I mean, as your first venture, you cannot.
Okay.
So it all depends on how your first book does, and then how you've been perceived by readers as to what you would do. So as far as the publisher is concerned, it is like, it's you are going to publish X number of titles, उसमें इतने % bestseller आएंगे, which will cover your business.
Is it like venture capital industry कि आपने 200 startups पे पैसा लगाया और 195 startups बंद हो गए, 5 में से कोई Amazon निकल गया, कोई Paytm निकल गया. So that's the same concept.
Yeah, it's in a way it's the same concept. If you talk about a larger big publishing house, it's the same concept. But they would want a little more than the 5-10%. So what will happen is they will put it in different baskets. So like say for example, when a publishing house gets started, they will start, as I said, they will start with a niche idea. So for example, you started with children's publishing. Then all of a sudden you thought, यार चलो ठीक है, एक मैं adult का भी publish करके देखता हूँ, या I will put teenager plus kids. So उनका publish करके देखता हूँ. Then you add that. Then you are doing business, then you some foreign publisher approaches you, why don't you sell my books in your market, and this is an agency. So he tries to expand his bouquet, and that is how like we did it, and even Penguin did it. Penguin used to sell a lot of agencies, and they still sell a lot of agencies. You would be amazed that look at the Penguin books and in the back that this is published by so and so, which is not even a Penguin company, but then they will write this is distributed by them. So the publishing as it continues to become a bouquet of different revenue streams.
Okay.
And that's how you start building. But as an author, as I said, in the beginning, it is all about their passion. It is all about their what they want to do with it. It's never for an author. I mean, I have not seen an author who looks that I'm going to write my first book and I'm going to make X amount of money. Maybe there are some authors who made a lot of money even on the first book. But that's just a pure luck that what they wrote actually hit the chord with the readers.
Or probably they have spent enough years to become an expert.
Yes, an expert.
तो हाँ,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
तो ये author की side का तो हो गया, they are not in this for the money. Publishing industry को भी समझने में बहुत problem हुई है. तो for a publishing company, what is the revenue stream? पैसे कैसे बनते हैं?
So पैसे बनने के लिए the thing is the cardinal rule is the content. Once you have the content, once you have the credible authors, you start making money. Now, as I said, it could be in the beginning. It could be you could start with local publishing. You can build it a little bit by bit. If it's an MNC publisher, you can start bringing your own.
अगर for example आपका 100 रुपए का revenue है from a very successful author, तो वो 100 रुपए कैसे पैसे आते हैं? कहाँ से? बुक सेल से आते हैं?
बुक सेल्स, मेजर मनी will come from book sales.
100 में से कितने आएंगे?
Like book sales will generate, in the beginning, book sales will generate 80 to 90% of your revenue.
Okay.
Then you will start selling rights. That's another concept.
For movies and...
For movies is a different version, but then you could start language rights.
Translation
rights. Okay. So in India, if you talk about it, 50 to 55% of the market, you would be amazed to hear this, but 50 to 55% of the market is still commanded by the regional language.
Wow. Okay.
Because there are languages and they are rich languages like Kannada. It's a very big market. Tamil, Telugu, for that matter, even Marathi, Hindi, of course. Every publisher who publishes a best-selling book, they feel like, okay, now let's translate it into Hindi. And then, of course, they will do a survey and they say, okay, fine, let's go into other languages.
Okay.
So, the language rights is a major thing. Either you produce yourself or you give it to somebody for X amount of money, they will publish it. And not just in India, you can even go to other markets. Like these days, this particular week, there is a very big international book fair going on. It's called Frankfurt Book Fair, which is the world's biggest book fair. Now, over there, it's the language rights are sold to various countries. A lot of Indian publishers go there. Most of the multinational publishers will be there. Their rights team are there. They are selling rights. They are doing major book deals, or they co-produce the book in their market. So that's another thing.
Sure.
So major money will come from book only.
Okay.
And still, I mean, even today, the e-book market is 5 to 8%, 10%, under 10%, nothing more than that. So 95% of the...
I think this makes distribution a very key component of your business. तो आपको दो relation maintain करके चलना पड़ता है. एक तो established author के साथ you'll have to have a very strong bonding. Then you have to have a very strong bonding with the retail store owners like Crosswords and these famous chains. So how do you advise somebody who's starting up to manage this?
So what happens is in India, it's still, the book distribution market is still not very corporatized, I would say.
Okay.
It's still managed by family-owned stores and family-owned companies. Yeah, 2 or 3 major distributors.
House
Okay. So they are the major distributors. So they would distribute the books, they would sell it to their sub-distributors, and then eventually it will reach to the retail bookstores in different cities, different part of India. And but now with the advent of Crossword coming into the picture, Sapna in the Western market, South market. In Western India, it's mainly Crossword. North and it's Crossword. And then there were previously the Reliance was also there, but they got out of the business. But then there are other small chain like Bari, which has 3-4 stores in Delhi NCR. Then there are other stores which are, have 1 or 2 stores, but they are building slowly. So you are right. You have to maintain a close relationship with them, because that is how you are going to connect with the reader. So, for example, my best-selling book, I would want my author to go to a bookstore, interact with their reader, sign copies for them. So it's again a sales and marketing initiative as well. That's how you reach to the reader, how you interact with the reader. Because in the Western world, things are a bit different. There are big chains like in US, there's Barnes and Noble, in Borders and things like that. In UK also there is another chain. So there it's more, much more this one. But in India, it's still the distribution is. But then last few years, I would say it has become easier. Because now in India also you have a lot of supply chain management companies. You don't have to warehouse anything yourself. You have third-party companies doing it for you. Like we have a relationship with a third-party warehouse who is basically store our books, send our books, this, that. So in the Western world, it's more, the distribution is much more organized, much more, because it's there for ages. But in India, it's getting slowly, we are getting there. But I would say in last 10, 12 years, what I have seen, it has changed a lot. Now things are getting much more, even these big 2-3 distributors who are there they are also becoming much more, they are adopting a lot of technology, lot of things they are also getting into it. So
ये जो distribution का main phase है, जो prominent properties होते हैं, prominent bookstores होते हैं, जैसे airport पे WH Smith हो गया, या Crossword के वो top 30 section हो गए, ये कितना impact करती है book के sales को?
It does impact a lot, because it's a visualization. Like you go to a store and, you say, for example, you want to buy a shirt. you would want to see, okay, yaar, Arrow बहुत सब जगह दिख रहा है Arrow, so maybe it's a good brand or this or that. So it's like, if you know what you want to buy, then you're going to go and pick it up. But जो instant buys है, जो that visual impact, or it's actually, like say for in case of children's books, it happens a lot. Like you take your kids to a bookstore, they would want to run around everything, and then they would say, okay, fine, ये लेना है. They wouldn't if your childs are say 8, 10 years old, 7 years old, or it's more of a visual treat for them to look at the book and to.
You're free to answer my next question, or you can choose not to answer. ये जो बुक्स जाती हैं टॉप 30 के सेक्शन में या फिर प्रोमिनेंटली डिस्प्लेड होती है, ये वहाँ पे बिकने जाती है या फिर अच्छी बिक रही होती है इसीलिए जाती है?
It's actually ये अच्छी बिक रही होती है इसलिए जाती है.
अच्छा.
The reason being is these are at the end of the day you have to understand these are prime properties. Everything costs a lot of money. Like an airport bookseller, you cannot expect them to house 1,000 titles or 2,000 titles. They will have to categorize it like, what is the intended traveler going to buy? Okay. I'll tell you a story how I started into reading. Okay. I used to travel a lot back and forth from US to India. So in those days it was used to be 18 or 20 hours flight, 8 hours from here to Europe, and then. So what do? So, you can, and the movie selection, and this is, I'm talking about late 90s, early 2000, you didn't had that much movie selection in the flight. In-flight entertainment was limited. So, my point is, that point in time, you want to buy a book which you can enjoy during that period. Okay. So, of course, it's what sells is what they're going to keep it, and that's how it works. And they are not expected to keep books which does not sell or which has a very low area of all the books are good. I mean, I'm being in publishing industry, I would say whatever is written, published is probably worthy of it. Somebody thought about it. So it's that way. But when it comes to the space and all, yes, you have to give that importance to.
Top 5 books जो आपने अभी तक देखी हो अपने पूरे करियर में? Sales wise. Why I'm asking you this question is because beyond bestsellers, there's no way for somebody to understand कि how good is that book doing. क्योंकि publishers जो होते हैं उसकी sales data को बहुत ही guarded and secretive रखते हैं, right? तो what's your top 5 books that you've seen in your entire career that have sold the most?
See, if you look at the books which are selling in India, like Psychology of Money is the book which you see it everywhere. Yes. It still sells. It's published so many years ago. It still sells in loads of this thing. There's another book which is on, I'm being from finance background, I look at the finance book, so more in a way. Okay. So, but then there are other books.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
You name that?
Investors Relations.
Okay.
It's like the Intelligent Investor. It's a very big book. Warren Buffett said very good things about it. It's been published since early 70s, and you would still see on the signal everywhere. So those are the books. And of course, if you are into mythology and you have your Shivas and all those, the best-selling books. So those are there.
Okay, so I think I've taken enough of your time.
Yeah.
My last question to you, it's not a question, but I'd want you to give top 3 advice somebody watching us, and if they're planning to start in the publishing business, what are the top 3 challenges they will face today, and they have to be prepared?
Top 3, the first one I would say, be ready for a cutthroat competition.
Okay.
Because this industry has evolved over the years.
There are big sharks.
Big multinational publishers, big people with big pockets, and all
I'll cut
that.
you there. So do you think it's viable for somebody to start today in 2024?
It is viable if you have an idea, if you have a reasonable amount of money. Okay. Yes, of course, it is viable. But
I think they cannot compete on money with the giants.
They cannot. That's what I'm getting. My second point is that
okay.
Your idea has to be niche.
Okay.
So you have to have a unique idea. You need to study and you need to look at the what is going to be your idea, and it has to be different. Because it's like, you imagine and things are there. And with the advent of technology, the AI and all that, things are changing at a very, very fast pace. So if your idea is niche and the thing which, and one last thing I would say, the third point is start small and slow.
Okay.
Don't go aggressive in the beginning.
Okay.
And don't try to cover too many bases, and don't try to start slow. You might have 1 or 2 hits in the beginning. Don't get overpowered with that. Okay, chalo ye hit ho gaya, dusra karte hain, 4 karte hain, 10 karte hain. Start slow and try to build it. One has to look at the long-term building of the business. Initial years are going to be tough like any other business, but if you do it nice and if your product and content has value in it, it is doable. It's not that it's not doable. Of course, any business has its own difficulties and things like that, but
I think one thing where the new publishers can take benefit of is that big publishers, I'm not sure if it's correct or not, but they are not even talking to most of the authors that they sign up, the giants. I mean, is that the case? Is it right? And they're too busy to identify the niches, and that's where the opportunity lies for new publishers.
So the established publisher are more or less, they have carved out their areas, that these are the areas we want to publish. Like, say for example, I want to talk about Bloomsbury. Bloomsbury has a very wide range of list if I talk about worldwide. We are very big, probably number 2 or 3 in educational publishing in US. We are probably not that big in India in that aspect. Or in UK we produce anything and everything, and we sell in the UK market, European market. In India we are trying our hands with trade publishing a lot, but of course we have our own educational division also, where we are producing academic books, reference books, things like that. So it's the wide range is available, but you have to choose your specific area. So you are right, the big publishers are going to look at as per their strategy, their plans. So the small publishers or small authors might have a connect. I mean, these days people from B towns or smaller towns are writing books. I mean, if I talk about the number of manuscripts it's being circulated are enormous. I mean, sometimes you get 10 emails, 20 emails a day, and you just cannot help to look at everything.
Correct.
So that is where you have.
So your advice is that focus on category innovation.
Yes.
And once you're able to do that once, try and repeat that. And stay small until you know you've made it, and you can repeat it.
Yes.
All right, so thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
I think there was a wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
And I look forward to hosting you again after some time, when probably we have something big coming up in your way.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.